Paper Mario is once a deeply beloved series, but it's been experiencing a tragic decline in recent years. The series gradually abandoned more and more of its RPG elements following the Thousand-Year Door, eventually leaving us with games like Sticker Star, a shallow mess where you explore dull, lifeless environments during turn-based battles that weren't rewarding, and listening to a story as simple as most Mario platformers. Color Splash was a step up with some more lively environments and some better writing, but it was still a very flawed mess that couldn't live up to prior series entries. Sadly, the Origami King does not bring back the great RPG elements of the series past, and I can definitely understand why fans of the series would approach this title with apprehension. I mean, I did myself. There is no experience, there are no unique characters, this is still an action-adventure game. However, it's a shockingly great one. This game is a fantastic addition to the Switch library, and it's absolutely worth your time. Paper Mario, the Origami King has gameplay quite similar to Luigi's Mansion 3 or older Zelda titles with a turn-based battle system slapped on top. You'll spend the bulk of the experience exploring different environments and solving a variety of puzzles while looking for different collectibles. Thankfully, the environments here are unique, varied, and just a joy to explore. One section you'll be driving a car over sprawling dunes looking for hidden temples. The next will be playing a mini version of the Wind Waker as you search for secrets hidden on islands spread throughout the sea. Every environment has an interesting twist that keeps exploring them constantly engaging too. Again, the desert isn't just a typical Mario desert we've seen in the new Super games of the last two Paper Mario entries. It has fascinating tombs, interesting traversal, and even a mysterious neon-tinged resort town at the center. The sea area has some very fun environments hidden beneath it that feel closer to Zelda than Mario. None of these locations overstay their welcome. The individual areas never feel samey with all the unique twists they hold, and the next area is always completely different and never more than a few hours away. Each of these areas is packed with tons and tons of collectibles. Toads are hidden in the ground, in the air, in blocks, in pans, behind signs, basically anywhere you could think. Finding each one gives you a fun and charming line of dialogue, so although they're by no means a necessity, they're still rewarding in their own way. They do a great job of encouraging the player to explore the environment without pressuring them too much, and just getting to see more of the wonderful location as you explore is a delight itself. However, not every collectible is quite as well done as the Toads. Hidden blocks are sometimes hidden cleverly, but they often seem as if they're just placed in random locations with little indication of their presence. Not bottomless holes are probably the worst collectible if you count them as one. Much like the areas you had to paint in Color Splash, at best they are just a quick loss of confetti, a resource that is limited for some reason, even though it's everywhere anyway. Literally an infinite amount falls from basically any tree. At worst, they're a waste of a bunch of confetti and lots of time. Let's take a look at this clip of me filling a hole right in the first area. So yeah, the collectibles aren't all great, but that's mostly okay. You don't need them for anything substantial unless you really want a 3-second long, basically meaningless secret ending for getting everything. If you approach them like you should the Korok season in Breath of the Wild or Moons in Super Mario Odyssey, a fun little reward for exploring the parts of the environment you want to explore, the way you want to explore them, but not something you need to get all of, they work as a fun distraction. The combat is not something I had much hope for. Paper Mario's recent turn-based combat, with no experience and weapons that break, can feel like a chore that doesn't give you any benefit and only costs you your limited items. And yes, these flaws are still present in Origami King to an extent. However, these problems are greatly mitigated in many ways. Every battle places you at the center of a system of rings and challenges you to line up the enemies in the best way for you to attack. They play more like a slider puzzle than a turn-based RPG. These battles are much quicker than before, almost always taking less than a minute. Mario smashes through enemies even faster than you should be smashing the like and subscribe buttons. This helps a lot in reducing the tedium. The puzzles in the battles are even satisfying to solve and not always immediately obvious. Sadly, it takes a while for them to get difficult and the same puzzle is often repeated, but this is still a big step up from before. Even with some occasionally challenging puzzles though, this game is far too easy. I didn't solve every puzzle in the intended way and still face no real threat of defeat at any point. Coins can be used to purchase recovery items and extra time to solve the puzzles in battle. But I finished the game without ever having spent coins for extra time and without even using a single recovery item. And I still never died. Speaking of coins, this game once again tries to use them in place of experience, making them the primary reward for completing battles. But it once again doesn't work. The use is not necessary, and they are obtained very easily in other ways. Blocks with coins and minigames that award you many coins are everywhere. At least the battles don't harm you quite as greatly as before though. Weapon durability sounded awful, but you get plenty of weapons to use and they take a long time to break, so it's hardly a real concern. I never felt stressed like I did wasting my stickers in Sticker Star or cards in Color Splash. It's also quite easy to avoid most of the battles by dodging enemies in the overworld. Because coins are so common and mostly worthless, you don't even miss anything substantial. I'd honestly recommend it, at least for after you start seeing only repeat puzzles in an area. Look, most of the battles aren't great, and this is disappointing. However, they can be fun on occasion, and they can typically be avoided without great punishment, so they don't hurt the game too much. The exploration aspect alone is worth playing the game for. When I reflect on my time with Sticker Star and Color Splash, I primarily think of my endless frustration with every obnoxious encounter. When I reflect on my time with Origami King, I primarily think of delightful exploration and fun bosses. Speaking of bosses, yes, the boss designs are pretty bad. I too wish there were unique characters and not mere office utensils. However, the battles themselves are really fun. The boss fights flip the roles of Mario and the enemy, placing the boss in the center of a system of rings and challenging Mario to reach him. You have to create a path for Mario to follow to reach the best point for him to attack, collecting various bonuses along the way. They actually give the player some substantial choice on what approach they take, unlike the regular battles, and they typically require some actual strategy in that. They're quite varied and they rarely overstay their welcome. My only real complaint here is that some of them do boil down to solving only one simple puzzle stretched out over 5+ minutes. The Fire Velumental fight, for example, has a solution obviously revealed to you after turn 1, where you have to wait multiple turns doing the same standard attack before you can properly enact it. Overall though, these bosses end up being the best combat we've had in a Paper Mario in a long time. Gameplay in Paper Mario hasn't been great for most of the series, and this game still has its issues. There is little replay value, with some battles even getting old in just the first playthrough. Combat can still feel pointless, the game is ridiculously easy, however, playing this game is genuinely fun most of the time. The exploration is really fantastic, and the things that suck are easy to avoid. For the first time in a long while, I was enjoying myself for the most part while playing a Paper Mario game. The story in the Origami King is the best one the series has seen in years. Now, it comes nowhere close to the first 3 games, and that's a bit disappointing, but I can't say I find it surprising. The game's producer Kensuke Tanabe himself said that he, and I quote, avoided having a complicated story so as not to veer too far away from the Mario universe, in a recent interview with Andy Robinson of Video Games Chronicle. Check the link in the description for the full interview. Thankfully though, it is a massive step forward from the last 2 Paper Mario games. It is packed with some great humor, but not too much of it. It never gets older to track some emotional moments like it did in Color Splash on the Wii U. Oh, and speaking of emotional moments, this game has some fantastic ones. I won't spoil them here, but I will say that I'd shed a few tears by the time the credits rolled. I think the thing that surprised me the most was the presence of some actual lore in the universe of this game. Again, I don't want to spoil too much, but by the end of the game you have a good understanding of actual past experiences, past life forms, and past secrets of this version of the Mushroom Kingdom. You get a real grasp of the world's history. This isn't just Mario saving Peach again. Mario truly gets to explore and learn about a fascinating land and a plot with some great humor and a real emotional impact. The characters are where I feel the most conflicted. Lots of them have unique personalities, they have interesting pasts, they tell funny jokes, and they're very likable overall. Olivia, the core partner character, is a big step up from Kirsty and Huey of the last 2 entries. She has a real personality, a real impact on the story, and she's not even frequently obnoxious. There is one big problem though. She's the only core character aside from the main villain with a unique design. Bobby the Bob-omb is one of the most charming characters the series has ever seen, but he visually has no distinct characteristics. When you meet an ancient explorer Toad from a long-forgotten past, he's just a red toad with a fancy coat. When you meet the world-renowned origami craftsman responsible for many of the key events in the story, he's just a green toad with an apron. One of the main partners you meet along the way, Professor Toad, doesn't even have a real name. The story and character dialogue do a lot to make the world feel alive, but the character designs themselves can make it feel dead at certain points. It pulls me out of this wondrous adventure when everything I interact with is a carbon copy of something else I've already seen, when important characters have no distinct designs or even names. I wish they were able to fix this problem that has plagued the series for so long, but it seems like it may be impossible with modern Nintendo. In that same VGC article mentioned just a bit ago, Tanabe said, and I quote, "Since Paper Mario Sticker Star, it's no longer possible to modify Mario characters or to create original characters that touch on the Mario universe. It really is a shame that this is the case. At least in this game though, intelligent systems breathe more life into the world with delightful environments, genuinely good emotional moments, and fun character dialogue than Nintendo could suck away with bland character designs." Paper Mario, the Origami King is one of the most beautiful games I've ever played. The paper aesthetic is used to create some truly beautiful landscapes and charming visual effects that help make the environments as good as they are. Look at these beautiful autumn mountains. This enticing neon town. This majestic floating paradise. I was driven to explore in this game largely because I just wanted to see more of the beautiful locales. The fun details like the smoke coming out of this go-kart, or the water splashing around this boat, never cease to charm. The colors pop and the models look great. The only real flaw I see here is the very occasional frame rate drop, but those never became a big problem with how rare they were. Don't worry, this is no Link's Awakening. The soundtrack is similarly great, as you may have noticed listening to this review. There's a wide variety of songs that always accurately convey the mood of a location or the tone of a scene. So many tracks are incredibly catchy too. I've had this theme stuck in my head since I first heard it. The battle theme even changes to fit each location. Sound effects are as satisfying as ever for Mario. Hitting each enemy feels great in combat, and hitting each block feels great in the overworld. This isn't exactly surprising though. The Mario series has had decades to perfect these core sounds. I honestly have little to say about graphics and sound other than that Intelligent Systems hit it out of the park here. This is one of the best looking and sounding games you can find on the Nintendo Switch. Paper Mario: The Origami King has its fair share of problems, mostly problems the series has faced for the past decade, and it's a shame that they haven't been fixed yet. However, a lot of what is in this game is good. A lot of it is great. This is one of the most enjoyable adventure games I've played on my Switch. If you're a fan of the action-adventure genre, if you like Luigi's Mansion or pre-Breath of the Wild Zelda, I'd highly recommend you check out this game. I give Paper Mario: The Origami King a 7 out of 10. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, I'd really appreciate it if you liked, commented, hit the notification bell, and or subscribed. I plan on making similar content in the future, so stay tuned if you're interested. This is my first time doing a video like this, so if you have any feedback, feel free to let me know in the comments or on Twitter with the account linked in the description, which you can also follow for more updates. Thanks again, see ya!